What just happened in CBSE physics exam? Students came out crying, teachers were shocked. They say that it was a kind of a mock JEE paper.
True. I mean, in 2025 physics exam of CBSE, students were disappointed. In fact, they call it the unexpected leap that CBSE has taken. The paper was lengthy, numerically heavy, and conceptually it required a lot of thinking, particularly in section B and C, which a lot of teachers confess was not an average physics school level exam, but very competitive physics.
Right. So why would CBSE do this? Wasn't it trying to reduce the stress?
For that, CBSE maintains its statement. It still says that the exam was within syllabus, and in fact, it aligns with the NEP ideology, which technically is correct because the exam demanded problem solving and thinking skills and not memorizing. And to be fair, 30 to 35% of the paper was still recall based. That means the student had to think of the direct law application, had to define something, or had to directly solve conceptual numericals. The rest of the exam was higher order thinking. But what parents and teachers need to watch here is the subtle systemic shift which CBSE and NEP in general is trying to bring in our education system. It's almost like pressing that reset button to the Indian secondary education.
How you mean? What's the bigger picture here?
Okay, let's zoom out. Now, NEP wants India to have a uniform education system so that its guidelines are adopted uniformly. Now, to bring that singularity, that uniformity, the two essential steps are to crush, number one, the dummy school industry. You know, the schools where students simply take admission for paper's sake and not really go and rather attend coaching institutes full day. And the second step is to lift up the teaching profession in general. Now, how can they do that? If they set up a difficult exam, naturally, the students would demand teachers who are more capable. Currently, schools simply hire teachers on their degrees and not the actual skills. It is these coaching institutes which train students in the actual logic and understanding to be able to clear entrance tests. Now, if the exams begin setting up difficult, schools would have to work more closely with the experts in the coaching centers, a kind of a collaboration. So naturally, the coaching institutes would not propel students to go for dummy schools, and the schools would have to work closer with them. So also in general, the parents' attitude towards education would change. Going to school and instead of asking how big the school playground is, they would begin asking questions like how capable the teacher is, what has been the teacher's teaching record in the past, and the teaching as a profession would also get lifted up.
That's okay, but what about students? Aren't we overloading them in a country which already pushes them so much?
So here we need to understand the paradox of our education system. What that paradox says is that in our country, we have surplus of skilled people or trained people in some industries and we have deficit in the other. For example, we have surplus of engineers, people holding engineering degrees, but we don't really have that many for the healthcare sector. So that's where the funnel is. Now, what happens when the exams get set up difficult is that students, when they pick their career streams, they don't simply pick it out of fashionable choices or what their friends are doing or what the society dictates, as currently a lot of them take non-medical because they think it's technical. Maybe they would randomly go for a career later on. But no, if the exams are set up difficult, naturally the students would think before picking a career stream. They would know what to expect. They have to be able to problem solve and think critically and logically in that very stream. So in that way, NEP is trying to uniformly distribute to the discussion and to reach us. Click link in the bio. All the best.
All the best.